Brett here with Ink on 3. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm so excited to be here with you at the Stamp and Scrapbook Expo virtual event. We're going to have some fun and create a fun project using the Ink on 3 products. I'm going to show you some tips, some tricks, and some techniques that you can use in your card making, your stamping, your planners, scrapbooks, journals, just about anything that you like to do. We even have digital products as well. So I'm going to start out by showing you some of our products that we're going to use in this project. And at Ink on 3 we have very innovative products because we actually develop them ourselves. So let's get started. So I thought I would start us off and show you our website. There's a lot of great information here as well as tutorials and all of that. And there's categories at the top, and at the bottom right you can send me a message and ask me a question directly from the website. What's great about the website is there's so much information. You can see our new releases, all the different inks, re-inkers, as well as our digital products like our 3D paper projects that you can download and cut on your digital die cutting machines. We have digital papers and free digital files so you can give them a try, and we're always adding new ones as well. If you love crafty videos, we have an awesome YouTube channel free to you with all kinds of tutorials, step-by-step instructions, as well as an Instagram page with more inspiration and creativity. So you can always find something fun to look at. We also have a blog that has step-by-step instructions if you prefer blogging. You can see here we have all kinds of guest designers as well as our creative team. So there's so much fun and inspiration on our sites. So let's dive into one of my absolute favorite inks. It's our Fade Out No Line Coloring Detail ink. And we're going to be using this in our project today. It truly is a magical, fun ink. And you can see in the picture I'm showing you there, it is a stamped image, but it looks like something an artist did. And it really makes and brings out the artist in everyone. It literally took me 2 years to develop this ink because I wanted it to be just right. And you can see here what's so magical about it is it's a completely neutral ink. It's not gray, it's not tan, it's neutral. So that means you can use warm colors on it and cool colors on it. But the lines will become the color of the media you lay on top. So if you use a blue ink, or a green ink, or a red ink, or marker, or pencil, or any kind of media, those lines are going to become the color you lay on top. It's so magical, and I'm going to show you that in our project. So that's one of our 3 essential inks. The next one I'm going to show you is our blackout ink. It's a fabulous, super dark, super black ink that dries almost instantly to the touch, so you're not going to smear your project. I love that because I'm a messy crafter, and with this ink I can stamp it and I know I'm not going to smear it. It's also alcohol marker friendly and waterproof, so you can watercolor with it too. Next we have our juicy clear embossing watermark ink, and it's juicy just like the name, but it has a really firm pad, so it works great for detailed images. You're going to get a perfect impression every time. And of course we have re-inkers for all of our inks as well. Here I'm showing you some of our clear photopolymer stamps. They're the highest quality, and there's a lot of inspiration. Every time you click on a stamp you're going to be able to see some creative ways and ideas on how you can use it. So it's a really great tool for you. We also have stencils, so if you love mixed media or you love using them on stamps, they make fabulous backgrounds. You can see there that's a beautiful background with the Atelier inks blended over them. And I forgot to mention, to go with our embossing juicy ink, we have ultra fine embossing powders. They're super fine and great for detailed images. And oh my gosh, this is an amazing product. If you have stamps, you need to clean them. And how many times do you not clean them because it's not that much fun? Well, with the Ink Off Stamp Cleaner, you will be looking for stamps that you can clean. It cleans all your stamps, rubber, photopolymer. It's in a pad so it travels well too. Super easy to use and super fun. One of our newest additions is the Atelier Artist Grade Fusion inks. And wow, are you gonna love these. These are a completely new formulation of ink that we designed to pair perfectly with the Fade Out ink as well as our other inks. But it's an ink that you can watercolor with, you can layer the colors, it blends beautifully with blender brushes, or blending tools. There's re-inkers, and the re-inkers are actually watercolors. So this all travels really well, and you can get a variety of colors out of them, and I'll show you some examples of that. But you can use blending tools, you can stamp with this ink. It literally does all the things. I mentioned it blends beautifully, and they stay true and bright, and they're fade resistant. Here's a couple of cards that were stamped with them as well as painted with them and blended. Look at that beautiful unicorn, oh my gosh. And that was all blended and watercolored with Atelier, as well as embossed with our embossing powders and ink. Look at these cards. What amazes me is look at all the color variations, and those are also done with the Atelier ink, so you can get a variety of colors. Of course, we also have cute critter stamps that you can do all kinds of fun cards with for all different occasions. And there's a really cute beaver for fall. This is another stamp I just love. It's called Oh Dear, and you can use it for the holidays as well as friendship cards, because you'll see here, you have You're a Dear Friend, and again, this was blended with the Atelier inks. You can see how vibrant and true it is. And we have coordinating dies to go with these as well. And we have tutorials on how to use all these amazing crafty goodies. And earlier I talked about our digital files, and I just wanted to show you one so you could see here. This is a box that was made with our digital files cut and on a digital die cutting machine, and as well as these two boxes. And what's really cool is these two boxes are the exact same boxes, but just using different stamps. So you can use these for gifts and everything. It's really fun and really easy, and we have full tutorials on that as well. Okay, so let's get our ink on and get to crafting. We're going to use the dogwood flower and die cuts along with the fade out no line coloring ink for our project. This way you'll get a little idea of how the fade out ink works. So here I'm stamping it down with a really clean stamp. I cleaned it with the ink off cleaner before because I want to make sure that I don't have any residual ink from a previous stamping session. So it's a beautiful light neutral color. We're going to do some watercoloring with it using the Atelier Artist Grade Fusion inks. I'm just going to take a tile, or any kind of plastic will work as well, and I'm going to take the inks and just kind of dab a little onto the tile. And also use the watercolor re-inkers and just put a little drop on your tile and use that as well, or travel with that. And what's really great is even if you leave this on your palette, you can come back to it later and it will reconstitute just by adding a little bit of water. Now for the super fun part. I'm just going to add a little bit of water and dilute that down to get a very light color. And here's where the magic happens. And you can see how easy this is. I'm just going to simply lay down the lightest shade that I'm going to be using onto my petals, onto my flower, and you can see as I swipe over the lines of the stamp, those lines are going to become a very light purple and keeping its details. So I don't have to worry about losing those lines as I color over them with the water. They're going to magically appear. It really is so much fun, and anybody can do it. So now I'm going to grab some of the Goddess Green, and I'm going to do the same thing on the leaves and the stem. I'm just going to add a very light wash over them, and you can see those colors popping out. So it's a watercolor technique, and what I always like to do is start light and work my way darker, and then we'll start adding in some of the darker tones to give it some more dimension. So as you can see, no line coloring doesn't have to be scary. It can be a lot of fun. So here you can see I'm grabbing some of the darker purple, the My Jam purple, and I'm just going to put a little bit on the bottom edge and blend that out. And now we're getting some dimension. The other thing I wanted to mention that I didn't mention earlier is if you're using a stamping positioning tool, you can stamp this ink one time for a very, very light color, or multiple times depending on your eyesight or the lighting conditions that you have. So you can literally adjust it to your eyesight or lighting, but it's not going to affect how the ink performs. It's going to work just the same either way you do it. So it takes all the guesswork out of it, makes it easy and fun for everyone. You don't have to be a watercolor expert or a colorist or anything like that. Anybody can literally do this. I've shown it to kids. Everybody has so much fun because the end result looks like you drew this yourself, like you painted it yourself. It makes you an artist every time. It's so much fun, and then the results are just so soft and pretty. We also have other tutorials on our no line coloring process on our YouTube channel. So if you want to see more, be sure to pop over there and subscribe to that channel because we have so much inspiration and so many fun tutorials that you can learn all different things. So if you want a more vibrant look, or you want a really soft and pretty look like we're doing here, or if you want to color critters, we have that too. But look how soft and pretty this is. I just think it's gorgeous. The other thing I wanted to mention is you can use this with all kinds of media. It doesn't have to be just watercolors. If you love alcohol marker coloring, it works beautifully with that, especially if you want to have this beautiful light edges, or you're going to create a snowman and you want it to look white on the edges. You can do that too. You can use pencils, any kind of media that you want, whatever's your favorite, and get this same fun look. It really is an amazing ink, and like I said, it's the only one that was specifically designed for no line coloring. It took us 2 years to develop it, and then we developed the Atelier inks to go with it. And the Atelier inks, oh my gosh, I love these inks for watercoloring. And one of the reasons I do love them is they're very forgiving inks. You can rework the area, you can layer the colors, let sections dry, and actually change the colors. They stamp beautifully, even with detailed images. They're so buttery smooth, and the inks lay on top of the paper, so it gives you so much more working time. The other thing is when it dries, it's going to stay that vibrant, bright color. So here what I'm doing is, once I got all that purple, my gem purple down, I'm going to add a little bit of the peacock blue to blend. They blend really nice together. The colors were all designed to work together. And look at, I love adding just a little bit of blue into the bottom of the petals to give it a little more dimension. Isn't that so pretty? You'll see that I actually left some of the areas white, and that gives you a really nice highlight as well. And that's why we started out light and then worked our way darker. Now I'm going to add, I added a little bit of the bee sting yellow into the center of the flowers. Now here I used the re-inker, watercolor re-inker in Twiggy Brown, just to add a little shadow and depth to the center of the flower. So you can see you can use the ink pads to swipe it down, or you can drop a little drop using the watercolor re-inkers. And see how that's giving it that extra little dimension. You'll also notice that I'm always going over and rinsing off my brush as I'm going, because it takes, you want to have a clean brush as you're moving the colors around. Another tip that I have for watercoloring, and I know we're getting into blending, is I just wanted to add this one more thing, is you want to have just a very damp brush. A lot of times when people watercolor, they use too much water. And I also have an ink off cloth to the side that I dab my brush on, because when you're watercoloring, you just want a barely damp brush. The other thing is you only need to use the tip of your brush, almost touching the paper as if you were touching a feather to a baby's face. That's one of my favorite tips. So let's talk about blending. We're blending the marigold orange with the bee sting yellow, and look at that blend. It's so juicy, and I used the ink daubers because I wanted a more vibrant, rich color. If I wanted a softer color, I would use a blending brush. So I just grabbed the die cut hello that goes with the dogwood flower, and I cut that out of that blended scrap piece that I used. So now we're going to use a stencil and do some of that softer blending that I talked about, and we're going to use a blending brush. So how I use a stencil, and I'm using it on an A2 size card, I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to put it, flip it over, grab some purple tape or any kind of tape really, and I'm just going to tape my stencil onto the front of the card, but putting the tape on the back side. Then I'm going to flip it over and start blending. So as I talked about earlier, this time I want to have a really soft blend using the peacock blue. So earlier we used the dauber. This time we're going to use a blending brush. It's going to give us a lighter color of that ink. And if you want a darker color of the ink, you would use the dauber. So you can see I'm just going to dab it right into the ink. I'm going to dab it off on the inside of the lid, and then I'm going to smooth it onto my paper. And look how buttery smooth. And I want to have a gradiated finish, like a soft blended, parts are white, parts are blue. So I'm not going to cover the entire front of the card, just go over some sections lighter and blend it out and wait to, I love stencils. It's so fun to flip it over and see what we have. Pencils are so amazing because you can use them for so many things. And look at this. Oh my gosh, the reveal is always so fun. Look how soft and pretty that is. So I'm just going to peel that tape off, and I'm going to adhere that to an A2 size card in just a second. But first I'm going to take my hello that I cut out earlier, and I cut out a few extras because I wanted it to be raised up. So I just cut like 3 stacks of the hello and then just glue that together, and that's going to give me so much beautiful dimension. And they really do glue together very easily, but this is going to pop this up from my card without using any foam. Isn't that pretty? And it just looks so nice. And if you have a little extra glue in there, here's my little tip. Use a little pick tool and you can take off any extra glue that comes out of the side. And so you're going to have a perfect hello that you can then attach to your card. You can see in the upper left, I have my dogwood flower all cut out using the die cuts. And here I just adhered my panel that we stenciled onto my card. I put some just wet glue, and then I'm taking my ink off cloth so I don't get any ink from my hands onto my card, and just patting it down so that I get a really nice flat surface. Then I put some square foam onto my flower. Isn't that so soft and pretty? And I'm just trying to figure out where I'm going to put my hello. And then I'll grab some liquid glue and put that on the back of the hello, and then we're going to adhere that to our card. So now we've got the dimension of the flowers, the dimension of the die cut word hello, and it just looks all so soft and pretty. And it doesn't look like a stamp anymore, does it? It actually looks like an artist painted that, drew that, and everything. So it really takes your card making or your crafting to the next level. Isn't this just so fun and pretty? But I also wanted to add a little bit of bling. All of us love bling. So I just grabbed some liquid glue and some little embellishments that I had and popped those on. And then I decide I want even a little more bling, and that's where I'm gonna come and show you our liquid pixie dust. Oh my gosh, liquid pixie dust is just the most amazing shimmer you can put it on. So it comes in a little bottle, and you shake it, and you can see over to the right there's a little dropper. You can use the dropper, put a little drop on your mat. Here I'm just dipping right into the bottle and using my paintbrush. You can also put it in a water brush pen, and it's always there ready to use, and you can always see how much you have in your water brush pen. But once you put it on, it is gonna stay on. It's not gonna flake off. So it's a really fabulous way to add sparkle and glitter to your card. You can even take it to crops where glitter is not allowed because it is in a liquid form and it dries clear. It's amazing. Since we had a little time left, I wanted to show you another one of my favorite items. It is our mirror image stamp, and it literally will take your stamps and double them. See that little dragon there, and see how I have 2 on my card? The stamp set only came with the 1, and I wanted to have them facing each other. So this stamp lets you do this, and we have a full tutorial on that on the YouTube channel. Here's a really quick glimpse of how you use it, and you can see I get the reverse image of my stamp very easily. Then I stamp it the original way, and look at that, I have 2 adorable little dragons. But that's not all you can do with the stamp. You can create amazing watercolor backgrounds with very little effort. So you can see here I'm taking the Atelier ink, I'm dabbing it on to the mirror image stamp, spritz it with water, and voila, I have a beautiful perfect size A2 background. Here I show you in that video how to color with the Atelier inks, the little dragons, but look at the liquid pixie dust on there too, and that background, isn't it gorgeous? And here's a couple other backgrounds using that same method. Well, I hope you enjoyed that project with me, and I hope you'll give these tips, tricks, and techniques a try. And check us out at inkonthread.com, and be sure to subscribe to our social media channels, our YouTube channel. We've got a lot of great videos there showing you step-by-step how to do all kinds of fun things. And also, if you ever have any questions, I'm always happy to help. So have a great day, enjoy the rest of this show, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.